Hey guys, it's Jess. I'm back with art lesson number 2 for you, and today we're going to do a contour drawing, or basically it will be a drawing on how to find your lines. Now this is probably one of the most important lessons you can learn as an artist, and that is one, how to hold a pencil and to do it gently so that you can find your line. Now what I mean by that is, when you're doing a drawing, what I don't want you to do is to hold your pencil down near the end, press down hard, and do a really rough, deep line drawing as your first drawing. What I want to teach you to do is to hold your pencil near the end of the pencil, kind of in the middle, and hold it gently, like you're holding a baby bird. So imagine you've got a chick in your hand and you're just gently holding it because you don't want to break its wings, you're just guiding it. And what I want you to do when you're going to start drawing is gently do lines. And you're not going to do one line, you're not going to stick your pencil on the paper and just draw a line. What you're going to do is you're going to find the line, because I can guarantee when you start doing that one line, you're not going to find the exact line that you need when you're doing a drawing if you want to make it accurate. So what you're going to do is a series of very light, scratchy, fine lines to find the end result, the end line that you're looking for. And being very fluid, allowing movement of your hand and your wrist. Also, I want you to be able to turn your page and just sort of gently scratch the surface. So let's start by doing a drawing. Okay. So I've chosen a picture of my horse. This is Mabley when she was 2. And it's just a black and white photo, and I've got the background blended out so that we can focus more on the horse. So what we're going to do is just get a rough outline of this horse, and I hope that you watch the first lesson, because I really also want you to pay attention to the negative spaces around the horse. That's going to help you accurately draw. Now, I want you to look at the whole picture as a whole, take in the shapes that are in between and the shapes they make and the distances. So let's get started. And remember, the most important thing is that you're not going to get it perfect the first time, okay? You're going to just do a very gentle, rough, sketchy drawing in order to get that final really good drawing. So I'm just going to fold that so that you can see the picture as I'm drawing. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of work on where the movement is, and I start by using the biggest shape. So to me, the back is quite a good place to start. So just gentle, just rough. We're going to get in the back, which is just straight, a little bit around, and you're not going to worry about it being perfect. And another thing to remember when you're doing a drawing is movement and angle and anatomy. So this horse is propelling herself forward. She's got a really nice big shoulder here, so you're going to kind of mark in that shoulder pointing out. Just really gentle. See how gentle I'm holding the pencil. And then I'm thinking about the distance in her girth here. I'm not worried about making it too accurate, but it's all about the gesture of your lines. So you've got a stomach here, you've got her belly kind of swooping up and then coming back here to the hindquarters. And that's almost kind of like an oval shape, so I might just sort of roughly do an oval shape there. And I'm going to focus a bit on the neck. So obviously that's going to kind of point up and go up here. Again, not worrying too much about getting it perfect yet. And then you've got the underside of her neck here, which is not as long, but kind of perfectly straight here ends at the same point. So you're going to be like there. And it's okay if you draw lines that you are later going to erase, okay? So you're going to, it's just to help you get those accurate lines. So it's a similar mirror image of this line here. I'm not worried about the mane yet, I'm just doing the neck. The main fleshy part of the body, that's where you start. Then we've got a bit of a shoulder popping out. And then for the legs, believe it or not, I just do some straight lines to find where the angles are. Kind of thinking about what shape she's making here. So there's just a little bit of leg here, which points down to this one. Bit of a gap here, which points out and down. And I'm not going to spend it forever on this drawing, so it's not going to be super accurate. But here we've got a tail kind of flowing out. Not worried about making it exactly what I see. Sometimes, you know, you're an artist, you can have your own interpretation. Okay, and now I'm going to think about the head a little bit. So horses' heads are not the easiest things to draw. Sorry, that's my dog whining. Willow. Okay, let's see. So the forehead. So her nose, if I look here at this negative space here, it's like a triangle. You can see that there. So I'm going to think about that triangle and how it would be. And the nose kind of ends at the shoulder here, out there. So that's that negative space. Remember negative spaces? And then I'm just going to square off her nose a little. And then we're going to bring up her long nose here, and her outside eye kind of points out a little. And then she has her forehead. And then we're just going to do kind of a curved little line, one there, and think about that negative space between the ears. It's like a V. Oops. Okay. So now we're getting that basic good shape of the horse. Okay, so now that I feel like I've got a roughly good idea of her shape, I'm going to start being putting in a bit more detail. So I'm still not going to do too much of the mane yet. I'm going to start holding the pencil a little bit harder. A lot of art is mechanics, and it's skill, like more of a skill level sometimes than actually being talented at it. So as you can see, I have so many little scratchy lines. Now I'm going in and I'm actually finding the line, finding where I want it to be. You start pressing a little harder, thinking about, okay, is that line straight? It kind of moves up a little bit. It's really about paying attention to details and then thinking, okay, so I stopped the line there. So if I was to draw a line straight down from here to here, that would kind of stop there. That would be the front of this back leg. So I can kind of start filling in the gaps here where her belly would be. Thinking about the shape that this makes here, this negative space shape. So I might have gone a bit too far there. As you can see, it's a little more narrow. See how important that is to remember negative spaces? Because I can see I already overdid it. And you don't, it's art. You don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to make it super accurate. But you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment if you do make it accurate when you're starting out, because that's really what we're all kind of sort of aiming for, at least to start with, before we start finding our own styles and wanting to kind of push the limits. It's always good to start as accurately as you can, and then if you want to move on to something a bit more stylized. Okay, so feel like I need to push this out a bit more. All right. Okay, starting to come together. And again, I'm not worried about the bits that I've messed up. I don't care. The one thing about art is you just can't let yourself get beat up by it. Okay. So this gap here is quite small. And then we've got a bit of a curved line here. And the shape this makes on this angle here is quite like a, almost like a U actually. That this negative space here looks a bit like a U. And I know I started you off on a really, this is not an easy drawing. So I'm not expecting you to draw this. I'm expecting you to draw something that you find easy. I just love horses, so I like the anatomy. I like to have the challenge. Plus, I think if you look at someone who's doing something that's harder than what perhaps you can do yourself, it pushes you to excel. And so I really do think that if you have someone who teaches you who's kind of beyond your own level, it will help you succeed. Not that I'm beyond everybody's level, because there could be some really incredible artists watching this, or emerging incredible artists. Okay, so we've got, I can't really see this very well because it's all shadowed, but I can see this shape here, the white shape, which is going back to the hock, and kind of sliding down the leg. Whenever I have a joint, I quite like to do a circle. And there's just a bit of a hoof sticking out there. Okay. Right, so that's what we've got so far. Let's go a bit, I don't want to get, another thing is you can get really stuck in an area and you just want to keep doing it right there, but I don't want you to do that. You need to keep going, looking at the whole picture, right? Keep moving. We need to get to this point with the knee. So if her nose, which I think I've got a little bit too low, if her nose is there, and we were to draw a line from the end of her chin down, it would come right below her knee. So straight line there. You'd have, and then you think about this shape that's made now, that negative space. Try and get it as accurately as I can. Again, scratchy now, I'm going scratchy again. And then I'm also going to be aware that my back legs here, these are slightly higher. I think I need to bring them down a bit. So I'm just going to draw in a rough line here where I need the leg to come. This foot is up off the ground. So I think it's going to come in about here. So you've got, let's see, knee should be here. And then this swooping in. I'm just going to do that rough. I need to pay more attention into that in a minute. And I'm already wanting to erase a bit, and that's okay. I had an art teacher that wouldn't let me erase anything when I was learning in the beginning, and it was very frustrating. But I'm not like that. If you feel like you need to erase it, then you go ahead. But don't give up. Don't use erasing as a way to just sort of nitpick everything you do. Because sometimes it's really nice to have those scratchy extra lines and not erase them but leave them, because it sort of adds a bit of movement to your picture. But I was pressing a bit hard there, so I don't want to press too hard. Okay, got a rough leg there. Bring it out, and then I think, yeah. I think I'm going to bring this leg over a little bit, which will help because I think this needs to be a bit wider. And this is another knee, so just going to circle that a bit. As you can see, it's just scratchy lines and I don't get it all correct. And it really just takes a lot of time to be super accurate. But this is just more of a gesture drawing to get your circumference. It's not about spending hours on it. It's about just getting better at drawing and seeing what you see. So I'm not going to worry too much about getting that perfect. Okay. And here's a bump there. Bit of feathering. Go ahead and erase a bit of this scratchiness I did. Okay. And it's good to step back and look at your work every now and then. Kind of step back, look at it for a second, go back, see where you wanted to change it. You can get stuck. You can really get stuck in an area. Don't get stuck. And now I'm sort of adding a few scratchy lines of where I feel like the anatomy, the body sort of muscle groups are, and shadow. Okay. Put in a bit of a tail perhaps. And tails I feel like absolutely free license, do whatever you want. Got a bit of movement in there. And then I'm just gonna swoop around here for the hindquarters. So you can see she's starting to come together now. So I'm going to start putting in her neck. Now horses have these incredible neck muscles, so there's really a lot going on up here. I'm not going to worry too much about making that super accurate. I'm going to put in a bit of a wavy lines to make a bit of a mane. So this here is not her neck, that's her mane. Right in there. So I'm just going to make a bit of rough lines as a mane that's sort of flowing. It's flowing over to her right side. And then we'll start on the head. And it's okay to just sort of scratch in a bit there, get a bit of the shadowing starting, and then let's think about these ears. So they're sort of tipped. I'm not going to make them perfectly correct, just sort of gesturing the ear. Okay, and her head kind of swoops down, and again there's just that bit of an eye from this side, which you probably can't see, but it's just a tiny bit coming off. You can either use a picture that you're going to print off, or have a photograph of, or you can draw from life, like draw an orange or a fruit or a plant, you know. I wouldn't suggest doing something alive because they move. So just when you're starting out, I would just do, you know, something like a picture that you can draw from, or a still life. Okay, so her eye, if I look here, it's not much of a distance there. And as it's really in shadow, I'm just going to kind of roughly sketch in a bit of shadow here. I'm going a bit beyond contour drawing now, I'm afraid. That's because I don't want to focus on things that I can't see. I think that's a big problem with artists, is we try to draw what we can't see and imagine, oh, well, it's an eye, it should be there. You know, I can't see the details of it, but I know it's there, but I don't think you should worry about that. I think you should just focus on what you can see. So I'm just going to shade in a little bit of that there. And then we'll get the nose in. So this is the muzzle and her lip. Okay, and there's just a little bump for her cheekbone there, which then goes round to the neck. And we've just got like a bit of quite a drastic line here. And again, slightly above it. But I'm not going to focus on doing too much. And just get the nostril in. I'm just getting the basics in. So you can see it's a horse. You've got the basic anatomy. And the eye kind of basically put in. She has her forelock off to the side. So something like that. And then we'll just shade a bit of this nostril in. Okay, and then it looks like there's a little bit of a lip to this line here. So now we've got kind of a basic, I've spent a lot more time on the head as you can see, but that's just the way it is. You just want to draw the head in really good. So we'll just get a few more parts in there. A lot of shadow underneath. But shadowing and shading will be something that I'll cover on probably the next lesson. So this, all I want you to worry about is doing your basic scratchy lines so you can find your line, okay? So this is it. Basic scratchy line to find the lines, right? And then you've paid attention to where what your negative spaces looked like from the previous lesson, because you can kind of be aware of what that shape in between looks like, because it helps you draw the form correctly. So now you've got your basic drawing done. Tail, legs somewhat in proportion. You know, it's not perfect, it's not deadly accurate, but it's a good start and it's really fun. And then from here you can move on to getting it more accurate, starting to shade, starting to really kind of piece it out. So I hope you found that helpful. Remember how to hold your pencil gently like you're holding a baby bird, and just gently scratch, just gently looking to find that line, okay? Don't rush into it and try and immediately get that perfect line. You're not going to get there. So you're just looking to find the line, and then when you found it, you can get rid of those lines that you used initially if you want to, or you can leave them. But those first scratchy lines are to help you find the drawing on the paper. Okay? So I hope you found that helpful, and send me your artwork if you'd like some feedback, and I will see you soon for the next art lesson. Thanks guys, bye.